Good morning, welcome to Break the Yoke. We're out here. The last video I made, the Q&A, was we were talking about some of the equipment that people choose and why. So today we're going to just show some of the equipment we have. It's sort of a combination. We have the hiking gear, we have military surplus, just again because it's rugged, it's inexpensive, and it works. So we tend to go hiking quite often, and lately we've been going up onto a mountain and making a fire and just making some coffee or some soup. So we brought you along with us, and you'll get to see some of the gear we use, not all of it. It's not the normal backpack I carry, just because right now my other backpack is too heavy with the scars on my shoulders where the shoulder replacements were. So here we go. Hold on just a moment and you can join us for coffee. So my wife tends to be a bit better at making fire than I am, and that's probably because she grew up doing it just in a different environment, but the skills tend to carry over. And then here is our littlest one enjoying her apple and her water. So right now she's processing white birch bark. Birch bark was used by the Native Americans or indigenous people here in North America for making canoes. Paper was made out of it, and it's very easy to make fire out of it because even when it's dry, it contains an oil that is water repellent. So whether dry or wet, it's quite handy to have.
Honey.
So she's trying to start the fire with the ferro rod, which is it's a piece of metal with a mixture of different metal compounds in it that's soft and it sparks easily. So she's working on that. I'll talk a little bit about some of my gear. So the vest is from Eastern Mountain Sports. It's several years old. We're probably talking 12 years old. And just fleece, works well. It's about 25 degrees out right now, and because we were hiking up, just in layers, we can take them off as we need. The shirt is something I got, it's a merino wool, and I got it on consignment for really cheap. I don't know that they quite knew what they had, or maybe they just wanted to get rid of it. The rig with my camera equipment in it and stuff is sort of a military type. It's actually two militaries. One is 511 and one is HSGI. Again, both of them were on discount. They were getting rid of them, and normally where they would be $50 or $60 or more, I was able to get them for about 20 or 25. The pants, which I'm really proud of, are, I don't know if I can get down there to see. Maybe. If so, I hope so. They're Duluth pants, and they just happen to be the right size. Got them on consignment for $14 at one of the outdoor stores. Hopefully you were able to see that. If not, they're just the Duluth pants, the fire hose pants. So they're really rugged, and they yeah, $14, and normally I think they're like $70. All right, she's got the fire going, so let me switch you over there. All right, now they've got the fire going, and so will you use just the ferro rod and
The cotton.
the cotton with the Vaseline on it. So cotton impregnated with Vaseline. Vaseline is a petroleum product and has many uses in the field. When you mix it with cotton, you can use it for chapped lips, fire starter, even putting a light layer on a tool to keep it from rusting until you get back to where you need to go. And we are still enjoying our apple and water. Some of her stuff. So the little pack is actually just a shoulder bag. It's from Thailand and Burma. And you just put it over their shoulders, over their head. They've got a little backpack, and we put a bungee cord on there as a sternum strap. And she wants to sit down, so you know, it's really important that you dress even your children in layers so that they can stay comfortable. They don't get too hot, too cold. If you get too hot, you're going to be too cold pretty soon. All right, here we come. We're going to get some water off the mountain from down in there. And what we're going to use is we just have it's pretty old. It's an old Stanley pot from Walmart for like $14 or $15, but we've used it a lot. It's light and it nests together with our titanium or stainless steel cups. Normally you want to filter water. I grew up drinking this water, and we know where it's coming from, but you still don't know what's upstream. You know, maybe an animal died, maybe an animal urinated or defecated in it. So we still boil it here. So we're just going to fill it up. A lot of the time, if there's a little waterfall or close to rocks, that's where you want to collect the water from. You don't want to really collect it from a stagnant pool if you can avoid it. And now we're going to head back down. And
it's clean.
It looks clean, but you can never see parasites or germs or urine or animals that may be decaying further up. So that's why we boil it. If you had a bunch of dirt in it, you could use a cotton cloth to filter that out, but that only filters out the big particles. You want to continue to boil it even afterwards, unless it's an extreme emergency. Now, you can see there's plenty of snow around. Lots of people think, well, if I get dehydrated, I can just eat snow, but you really can't, because it drops your body temperature, and the majority of snow is air. So we've had times where we've tried melting snow, and you can fill up a 5-gallon bucket and you don't even end up with a quarter bucket full of water after it finally melts. So if you can avoid it at all costs, don't eat snow. If you do need to use snow, at least put a little bit of water in the bottom of your pot first, and then boil it down. And we'll get back to you soon. So a few other things that, in case you didn't know, and many people who are watching this probably already do. We, to help start the fire a little bit, get going a little bit better, because some of it was wet, or damp at least. It's dead wood, but some of it had been snowed on. We used some charcoal from a fire before, and that will help catch. It's just like barbecue charcoal. Once you can get a fire, a little bit of a flame going. The other thing that my wife had taught me before is I had heard of using dish soap on your pots before you cook on them if you're cooking over a fire. Lots of people think you put the pot on the fire, but you actually put it on the coals. The coals is where the majority of the heat comes from. But my wife was teaching me the other day that you can use ash from a previous fire, or cooled down ash. Rub it on the outside of your pot, and that will make it much easier to clean afterwards and get rid of some of that blackening. We clean all of our gear every time we use it, so that it's ready to go, and that it doesn't, so that we don't ruin it quicker than we need it. You keep your stuff clean, you take care of it, it'll last a long time in most cases. You can also use ash to scrub the dishes afterwards. It almost acts like a sand or a sandpaper. So if you can put it on a sponge or a cloth with a little bit of water and start scrubbing, it's a good natural scrubber because of how abrasive it is. There's lots of sign up here. We have those are mostly our footprints. but there's deer, there's wild dog, there's wild cat, and just because of the activity that's been up here recently, they've been doing some logging as well as some other development, and it's got all of the animals on the move. So on our way up today, we saw one deer. Yesterday, my wife and daughter saw many deer. All right, so lots of people use instant coffee, and there is some instant coffee that's good, but what we like to do is we like to make cowboy coffee, and we actually make that just about every morning in this same little pot on our stove at home. And you just take the coffee grounds. It's about I think it's a tablespoon per cup, and put it in the water. Then you put it on the fire. It might be a teaspoon per cup. I'm pretty sure it's a tablespoon. Anyway, that's what I use. I like mine a little bit stronger. So we'll throw this on and let it come to a boil. So you let it boil, a hard boil, for about 3 minutes. It can boil over, so what you do is you put it on a high heat, and then you move it away a little bit more so it continues to boil, but it's not on the highest heat available. And that will actually boil out the acids as well, is what I'm told. I think it tastes better. It doesn't agitate my acid reflux at all if I boil it like that, as opposed to just a coffee maker or another route. So this is a thing, not my thing, but in Southeast Asia, especially Burma, they mix sugar and pepper, and is there salt in there too? And salt, and they dip different fruits in it. And sometimes it's mango, sometimes it's apples. So something sour with something sweet and something hot. I've tried it, not really my thing, but most people, or many people from Burma, seem to enjoy it. I'm not sure about Thailand. But so we were talking about gear, and lots of people are probably thinking, well, if you're going to be in the Southeast Asia region, why are you practicing in the Northeast close to Canada? And that's because a lot of the same skills carry over. Like I mentioned before, my wife, she has many more skills than I do just from growing up where she did. I have skills too, but for her, a lot of them are second nature. You know, mine, if I don't use them, I tend to lose them. So together we have a pretty good skill set. But she grew up in the jungles, yet she can come here to New England and get a fire going in the middle of winter when it's 20-something degrees out. And you know, she seems to know a lot of the foods, a lot of the plants that are naturally edible, what you need to boil and what you don't. Some of them aren't the same, though they look the same, so sometimes we have to approach that cautiously. But yeah, anyway, and just because we feel called to Southeast Asia doesn't mean we won't be other places as well. So the coffee is on. We're going to wait for it to heat up, and we'll show you afterwards.